Okay, welcome to the R2D2 build. This is of course the new agostini model. It's the 18th of January, so part 2 is out today. I thought what I'd do is I do part 1 and 2 together, because really in issue 1 there's very little to do, so we'll just have a quick look at issue 1. You know, you've only got to put 3 screws in, and then we'll go straight on to issue 2, which is over there. I just want to clear up the publication dates. If you're not subscribing to it, as I said, issue 2 is out today, the 18th. Issue 3 is the 25th of January, and issue 4 is the 1st of February. That's of course in the UK. Right, so let's have a look at part 1. Part 1 is really dead simple. All you actually have to do is assemble this, and it couldn't be easier. All you do is you just put the LED circuit board into the holder, screw in 3 screws and connect the cable to the back, and you'll end up with that. And that's all the assembly you're going to do in part 1. It's dead easy. That's all you're actually going to do. Also included in part 1, you've got the surround for the what I call the eye. It's going to be the camera on this model, I think. You've got the diffuser, another surround that goes around the state indicator, a few screws, and the top of the leg, which we will be using in a moment in part 2. But that is all the assembly you do for part 1. Like I say, it's dead easy. It's just 3 screws and you end up with that. So I don't think it's really worth doing a separate video for that. So as I say, issue 1, dead simple, and you'll end up with a tray of parts looking something like that. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go straight on to issue 2 now. Issue 2, there's a few more ins and outs to it. You've got to do a few more bits. There's some quite interesting little features in the magazine in the 2nd issue. But what we're interested in is the assembly, and I'll do it in the order in the book. And we start with the leg top that came in issue 1, and the first thing you've got to do is you've got to take, I think, this piece here, and so a top and bottom to it. Yes, there is. It's that way up, and that goes in there like so. And if you turn it over, and using 2 of the screws that you got in the 1st edition, I wonder if it's easier to put the screw in there first and then add it to the screwdriver. Yeah, you can do it that way. Just put that one in loosely. This screwdriver feels to be quite good quality actually, which surprised me. I thought the kit was going to come with a really cheap nasty screwdriver, but that one seems okay. Okay, just screw that in there. Okay, just nip them up, do them tight, but not, you know, not too tight, if you get what I mean. Okay, that's the first bit. I can't resist just giving that one a final tweak. Yeah, just so you can feel it. Okay, that's the first bit. Now, what's next? We've got to put these two little fellows in. I don't know what you'd call these. I think they're called lubricators in the kit. And I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little tang on there. They can only go in one way. And oh, I've got it right first time. Right. So just again, using one of the screws from the Part 1 kit, we'll screw that in place. See, the screwdriver is magnetic. You can pick the screws up if you drop them. Okay, let's tighten that up. The only important thing is that you do the screws tight, but not too tight so you crack the plastic. You know, it's that's probably the most important thing. If in doubt, don't do them too tight. The worst thing you can do is crack one of the components. So you've got that, and you've got a second lubricator that's got to go in. This one's a bit shy, it doesn't want to come out. Again, there's a little tang on there. That can only go in with a tang upwards. Another screw. I wasn't actually going to do the R2D2 model, I was just going to concentrate on doing the DeLorean, but I kept seeing the R2 kit on the shelf and I thought, what the hell, I'll do both of them. I am very old, of course. I remember when the first Star Wars came out in 1977, was it? And I was 11 years old back then, and I went to see Star Wars 1, which is of course Star Wars 4, I think. It was just called Star Wars. Nobody called it Episode 4 or A New Hope or whatever. It was just Star Wars. And if you don't remember 1977, Star Wars really was massive back then. The whole country went crazy over the thing. Right, there we are. That's the top of the leg completed. I'm just going a bit OCD. I'll just check these screws are just nipped up nicely. Right, there we go. That's the top of the leg done. It's actually quite heavy. These silver parts, they are metal, so there's a bit of weight to that. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. Right, now next thing is we move on to the larger part of the leg here, and we've got to insert this piece into here. Right, I'm going to have to sort of balance that in place. This is a little bit more awkward than the other components, it has to be said. I'll get the screws ready. Get the other screw out of there. You'll be using 6 screws in total. The sort of pointy end of it goes uppermost. It's just slightly awkward just to hold it in place while you get the screws in. Ah, got it. There we are. That's a bit better. Has that got it? Yeah, I think it has. Yeah. That second one went in a bit easier. I'm just wondering if I've got that a bit cross-threaded. I'm just going to undo that one and redo it. That's okay. Yeah, it's just that thread felt a little bit tighter. Okay. Again, tight, but not too tight. I think that's one of the most difficult things about engineering and building models and what have you, is just how tight do you do things up, how tight do you screw something up, how tight do you do up a nut, and it's just something you learn with experience, you know. All I can say is just do it reasonably tight, but not so much as you damage anything, and I think it's just something you learn over the years. I think with a lot of engineering or model making, you just get the feel of it. Right, the next bit is this bit, which can only go on one way. I'll just show you. If you can see the end of there, there's a flat that you have to line up. Now I'm just going to check the instructions whether it says to use any glue on here, because I think I'm going to. I'll read what the instruction says. It says the hydraulic arm piston LPR05 has a D-shaped hole to fit the end of the hydraulic arm shaft LPR06. Put a spot of super glue on the in the hole. Right, so I just happen to have some super glue hanging around. So they say put the super glue in the hole, so I'm going to do it the way they suggest. There we are. Okay, some super glue in there, give it a bit of a wiggle, and leave that to go off for a few seconds. I'll put the top back on there. Right, now the last two pieces are this little square fellow here, and there's a little tiny circular debris that goes in the top of it, and again we're going to need a dab of super glue. Be careful not to get any super glue on your hands, kids, of course, or you may end up being glued to your model and having to take a trip to casualty. So always be careful with super glue. Yeah, it's got that there. And you should end up with that. I didn't grow up with super glue, you know. With all the Airfix kits I used to make, the glue used to take ages to dry, and I'm not used to stuff like this that glues in seconds. But, that's because I'm an old so-and-so. Well, I would be. I remember the first Star Wars movie. Okay, so we end up with that. Now, that goes on top of the hydraulic arm doodah at an angle. Where can you see it? There we go. And again, we're going to need a little bit of super glue just to hold it in place. I think that should do it. And there we go. That's pretty much it. So at the end of part 2 you've got that there, and you've got the top of the leg, which ultimately will fit in there, which should fit in there. There we go. It says in the instructions, do a test fit, and that's what you're going to end up with. And that's the end of part 2. So part 3, let me just check, part 3 will be on sale on the 25th of January, and I will have the assembly video out on the same day. So thanks for watching, and that's the end of part 2. Well, that's the end of part 1 and part 2. I'll see you in part 3. Thanks for